Hello friends, welcome to my channel. There's a current trend in the software industry to break down large monolithic applications into smaller, more manageable pieces. In this video, we will discuss what micro-frontends are, why we should use them, and how to implement them. We will also discuss the benefits and drawbacks of micro-frontend, and when we should use them. Before we start, let's understand what is monolithic application. The monolithic application was the standard way of building applications in the past. In a monolithic application, all the code is bundled together and deployed as a single unit. This means that if you want to make a small change to the application, you have to rebuild the entire application and redeploy it. This is a very slow process and can be very costly, and if not done properly, it can lead to a lot of bugs in the application and can cause downtime for the users. On the other hand, a micro-frontend is a new way of building applications. In a micro-frontend application, the bigger application is broken down into smaller apps. Each app is a separate application that can be developed by different teams, and developed using different technologies. This means that if you want to make a change to an app, you can deploy that app without having to redeploy the entire application. This is a very fast process and can be very cost-effective, and if any app has a bug, it will not affect the entire application and only that app will be affected and will not cause any downtime for the users. Let's take an example of a large e-commerce application, which has a lot of features like a product catalog, a shopping cart, a checkout page, a payment page, and a user profile page, etc. Each of these features can be developed as an app. We can also scale each app independently. We can scale the product catalog app to handle more traffic because every user visits the product catalog page when they visit the application. They don't visit the profile page or the payment page every time they visit the application, so we can have a different scaling strategy for each app. This is very useful because we can scale the application to handle more traffic without having to scale the entire application. Let's take another example. If you made some changes in the user profile page for some reason the user profile page is not working properly, then the entire application will not be affected. The user will still be able to visit the product catalog page and the shopping cart page. This is very useful because if the entire application is down, then the users will not be able to use the application and they will not be able to buy anything from the application. Let's discuss some of the benefits of micro-frontend. 1. It allows us to break down large applications into smaller, more manageable pieces. 2. This makes it easier to develop, test, and deploy. 3. It also makes it easier to scale. We can scale each app independently. 4. It allows us to develop an app using different technologies. This makes it easier to use the right technology for the job. For example, we can use React for the product catalog app, and we can use Angular for the shopping cart app. 5. It also helps to avoid the single point of failure. If any app has a bug, it will not affect the entire application and will not cause downtime for the users. A micro-frontend is not a silver bullet. It is not a solution to all problems. You should not use a micro-frontend when you have a small application that is easy to maintain and scale. It is also better to use a monolithic application when we have a small team that is working on the application. You should not use micro-frontend unless you have a very good reason to do so. If you don't need a micro-frontend, you should not use it. Just because it's a new trend doesn't mean you should use it in your application. Let's see some of the drawbacks of the micro-frontend. 1. It can be difficult to implement a micro-frontend. It requires a lot of coordination between the teams that are working on the micro-front end. 2. You should have a design system in place. This is very important because it allows you to have a consistent user experience across all the micro-frontend. 3. It requires more resources. You need more servers to host the micro-frontend. You also need more bandwidth to serve the micro-frontend. This can be very expensive. 4. Communication between the micro-frontend can be difficult. You need to use a shared state management system to share data between the micro-frontend. Time to implement our first micro-frontend app. We will use React Webpack 5 Module Federation plugin for this demo. Module Federation is a new feature in Webpack 5 that allows a JavaScript app to dynamically load code from another app and in the process, share dependencies. If an app consuming a federated module does not have a dependency needed by the federated code, Webpack will download the missing dependency from that federated build origin. In this demo, we will create two apps. The first app is the container app. The container app will host the shell of the app. This is the entry point of the app and it will load all the micro-frontend. All the micro-frontend will be loaded dynamically at runtime in the container app. For this demo, I'm using a StackBlitz. It's a free online IDE. You can use any IDE you want. Once you open StackBlitz, you can create a new Node.js project. By default, StackBlitz will create a new project with a single file called index.js and a package.json file. We don't need the index.js and package.json files, so we can delete it. Let's create a new React app. I'm using Create Micro-Frontend App plugin to create a new React app. To create a new React app, run the npx create mfapp command in the terminal. It will ask for name of the app. I'm going to call it a container. Then it will ask for basic configuration like type, port, framework, language, style, etc. I'm going to use the basic configuration for this demo. You can use any configuration you want. Once the app is created, the container will be created in the root directory. Let me quickly create another React app. I'm going to call it counter. Let's see what's inside the container app. It has an src folder. The src folder contains the source code of our app. Let's run the app. Go to the terminal, then go to the container directory and run npm I to install all the dependencies. Once the dependencies are installed, run npm start to start the app. You can see the app is running on port 8080. It's a very simple app. It shows the name of the app, framework, language, and style. Similarly, we can run the counter app. Now, we have two apps running on two different ports. It's time to connect both apps. Let's go to the counter app. Open the webpack.config.js file. You can see the webpack config file has a lot of configuration. We will only focus on the Module Federation plugin configuration for this demo. Module Federation object requires name. It contains the name of the app. It's a unique name for the app and it's used to connect the app with the container app. File name. It's the name of the file that will be generated by Webpack. This file will connect the app to the remote. Exposes. It's an object that contains the name of the component, and the path of the component we want to expose. Shared, it's an object that contains the name of the dependency, and the version of the dependency. Remote, it's an object that contains the name of the remote app and the URL of the remote app. We'll keep it empty for now. Let's add a new component to the counter app. I'm going to call it counter. It's a very simple component. It has a button and an h1 tag. It will show the number of times the button is clicked. On click of the button, it will increment the number. Let's expose the counter component in the webpack config file. Go to the webpack.config.js file. Add a new exposed object. The name of the component is counter and the path of the component is ./src/counter. Save the file and restart the app. Our counter app is still working fine. Now, let's go to the container app. Open the webpack.config.js file. Add a new key to the remotes object. With this key we can access the remote app from the container app. The name of the remote app is counter, and the URL of the remote app is counter at http://localhost 8081/remoteentry.js. Save the file and restart the app. The remote key is the name of the remote app which we are going to use in the container app. The value contains remote app name and the URL of the remote app that we want to connect to. The name of the remote app should be the same in both apps. Now both apps are connected to each other. Time to use the counter component in the container app. Go to the src folder and open the app.jsx file. Import the counter component from the counter/counter and add it to the JSX. Save the file and refresh the browser. You can see the counter component is rendered in the container app. On click of the button, it will increment the number. In the next video, we will see how to use the shared state management system to share data between the micro-frontend. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please like and share it. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. I will try to answer all your questions. I'll see you in the next video.